So I just saw Maxine. This is the third film in Ty West's, what would this trilogy be called? Like the X trilogy? Something like that. Anyway, Maxine is the third and final installment in the trilogy that is X and then Pearl and then now Maxine, with Maxine being a direct sequel to X. Now I don't really want to give like a plot summary to Maxine because I feel like that could spoil some of X, and I don't really want to do that, so I'm just going to kind of keep that kind of vague. But I do feel like you probably should see X. Pearl, maybe, but I mean, Pearl's a good movie, so definitely check that out. But like, you should definitely see X before you see Maxine. But I think like, as this trilogy's went along, each film has gotten better and better, with X kind of being my least favorite of the trilogy. Still a solid recommendation, but I think Maxine is the best of the trilogy so far. First off, Mia Goth is just amazing in this film. She just gives an absolutely great performance, and Kevin Bacon even shows up to give a career highlight as well. This film is just kind of like steeped in like 80s retrograde that feels like a true homage to the 80s, like those 80s like video nasties or giallo films. And the film really leans into not only being kind of cheesy, but really does lean into its own aesthetic and kind of lean into that like grimy Hollywood facade in a way, to feel completely self-aware and very carefully controlled. Now I do want to say one of my favorite things in this film is the editing. I think the editing in this film is absolutely fantastic. It's just so incredibly tight while also having just some really great editing choices that helps to build the kind of vibe and tone of the movie really well. The score from Tyler Bates I think is outstanding. It's incredibly fitting, but also really memorable. It's a soundtrack that I would definitely want to listen to outside of the film, but it's also another one of those like elements that just helps the film's atmosphere just kind of breathe and expand. There's a lot you can kind of sink into with Maxine if you want to find meaning in like, you know, the whole do anything for fame, becoming a monster, chasing that fame, the belly of the beast of the Hollywood system. They even like say that verbatim in the movie. You can kind of dive into that and get all that here. There is substance here to get from Maxine's narrative, and it's very carefully presented to allow the audience to kind of chew on as much fat as it wants to, because even if you didn't want to look for any kind of subtext or any kind of like context to some of the moments in the narrative or some of the moments through characters in the system, you can strip all that away and just have a really fun popcorn mystery, almost slasher style thriller that's just really enjoyable to watch on its own. Visually, I think the film looks great. I think the cinematography and the blocking is really good, but I also love the color grading here and the really like heavy grain look of the film. But also like you mix in like moments of like VHS-ish kind of like moments, and it all works really well. It really works to build the time period the movie's set in, but it's also just a gorgeous film to look at as well. I really like Maxine. I'm giving this one an 8 out of 10. I think it's the best of the trilogy so far. I definitely recommend checking this one out if you get a chance. And if you want to follow what I do, you can subscribe, become a member or Patreon, and I would love to hear what you thought about Maxine in the comments down below. I will see you later. Bye.